You're watching TAG TV. TAG TV tags you news, views, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to Newsweek South Asia, a program that talks about breeding of terrorism and its impact on South Asian nations. Let's begin with the headlines first. India corners Pakistan at International Court of Justice. Pulwama mastermind eliminated by Indian security forces in less than 100 hours. Masood Azhar soon to be in UN terror list as global powers come together. Terror outfit Jaish-e-Mohammed trained by Pakistan ISI, says MQM leader Altaf Hussain. While the military engagements continue at line of control, India continues to fight a separate diplomatic war against Pakistan in the World Court. Fresh round of hearings started in the International Court of Justice in Kulbhushan Jadhav's case this week. The 4-day trial began with India slamming Pakistan for violating Vienna Treaty and convicting Kulbhushan Jadhav on false charges of spying. India also demanded complete annulment of the death sentence awarded to Kulbhushan Jadhav by Pakistan military court. Let's see a report.
India on the day one of the ICJ trials tore through the opaque proceedings of Pakistani military courts which try civilians against the international norms. Kulbhushan Jadhav, an ex-Indian naval serviceman, also fell prey to one such trial in Pakistan military court where he has been awarded death sentence without even meeting the basic standards of judicial due process.
The Pakistan story has always been strong on rhetoric and blurry on facts. India therefore seeks relief by way of declaring that the trial by the military court in Pakistan in the facts and circumstances hopelessly fails to satisfy even minimum standards of due process. And being violative of Article 36 of the Vienna Convention, it should be declared unlawful. Jadhav's continued custody without consular access should be declared unlawful. And amongst other things, considering the trauma to which he has been subjected for over 3 years, it would be in the interest of justice, of making human rights a reality, to direct his release.
Senior advocate Harish Salve is representing India and Jadhav's case in International Court of Justice. In his firm arguments from Indian side, Salve established Pakistan's mischievous conduct on not allowing consular access to Jadhav from the time of his detention up to his conviction, and then he referred it as a gross violation of Article 36 of the Vienna Convention. The Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties is a treaty concerning the international law on treaties between states. The convention entered into force on 27 January 1980 and it codifies several bedrocks of contemporary international law. Article 36 of the Vienna Convention addresses communications between consular officers and nationals of the sending state. The convention states that foreign nationals who are arrested or detained should be given notice without delay of their right to have their embassy or consulate notified of their arrest. And consular officers shall have the right to visit a national of the sending state who is in prison, custody or detention to converse and correspond with him and to arrange for his legal representation. Putting forward his arguments on various issues concerning Jadhav's case, Advocate Harish Salve said that on 30th March 2016, India reminded Pakistan of its request of consular access for Jadhav and received no reply. 13 reminders were sent by India on various states. Pakistan's conduct doesn't inspire confidence that Jadhav can get justice there. Pakistan has in custody an Indian national who has been publicly portrayed to be a terrorist and Indian agent creating unrest in Balochistan. Pakistan used Jadhav to build a narrative against India. Therefore, India urges ICJ to annul the decision of Pakistani military court, allow a direct fair trial in civilian court and grant full consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav. On the third day of hearing of Kulbhushan Jadhav case, India strongly objected to the abusive language used by Pakistan's counsel Khawar Qureshi at the International Court of Justice. As Pakistan had used phrases such as Humpty Dumpty and shameless, India expressed its strong disapproval against Pakistan for using undignified language in the ICJ.
Humpty Dumpty has no place in this court. This court has jurisdiction over sovereign states and conducts proceedings in which sovereign states are given directions which are binding upon them. This court therefore conducts itself with restraint and respect, which does not undermine the sovereignty of any of the states or shows disrespect towards any of them. The language which has echoed in this court, sir, in these hallowed precincts, is and so that such misadventures are not repeated. Perhaps this court may, in counsel's word, lay down some red lines of how proceedings ought to be conducted. The transcript is peppered with words such as shameless, nonsensical, laughable, breathtaking arrogance. On a quick count, shameless and nonsense occur 5 times each, arrogance 4 times, ridiculous 4 times, and disgraceful 4 times. And these are addressed to the submissions made in the memorial in the reply by the Sovereign Republic of India. India takes exception to being addressed in this fashion in an international court. Beyond saying this, I would let the matter rest, for I do not, and the Indian culture prevents me from indulging in similar language of invectives and insults.
Harish Salve systematically demolished the arguments made by Pakistan counsel Khawar Qureshi on the issues of Kulbhushan Jadhav's nationality and passport. Apart from facing embarrassment in the regular proceedings, Pakistan also went through grave embarrassment when the ICJ rejected 5 of its pleas and asked them to move ahead with the proceedings if at all they have their case ready. Kulbhushan Jadhav is a retired Indian Navy officer who was sentenced to death by a Pakistani military court on charges of espionage and terrorism in April 2017. A 10-member bench of the ICJ, which was set up after World War II to resolve international disputes, stayed the death sentence to Kulbhushan Jadhav on May 9, 2018, after India had moved a petition before the UN body to seek justice for him.
A devious plot of Pakistan-backed Jaish-e-Mohammed to once again spill blood inside Indian territory was busted by Indian security forces as 2 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists holed up in an abandoned building were killed in a joint operation by Indian Army, CRPF and Jammu and Kashmir Police. Primary investigations after the Pulwama attack are suggestive of an active role of Rawalpindi into this accelerating wave of terror unleashing in Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistan has been using Kashmiri youth as cannon fodder for years. It has been indoctrinating the gullible youth into waging a war against the Indian sovereignty, and the recent attacks in Pulwama was just a manifestation of its satanic anti-India design. We have a report.
The Indian security forces achieved major success this week, as the prime accused of the CRPF convoy attack got neutralized within 100 hours of the despicable bombing. Also in separate search operation by the anti-terrorist squad, 2 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists have been arrested from India's Uttar Pradesh with large amount of weapons and live cartridges. The strife claimed the lives of 4 army personnel, a policeman, 3 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists and a civilian. Apart from Kamran alias Ghazi Rashid, the terrorist who got slain was identified as Hilal Ahmed, a local Kashmiri recruited by the terror group Jaish-e-Mohammed.
Ever since 14th of February convoy attack on CRP, we were tracking the top JEM leadership in Kashmir Valley. As you are aware, that convoy attack was carried out by Jaish-e-Mohammed of Pakistan, and it was being controlled from Pakistan with active support of ISI and the Pakistan Army. The local commanders, most of them Pakistanis, who were in charge of controlling, coordinating, fabricating and execution of this operation, were the main people of the JEM top leadership in the valley. Since this leadership of the JEM was on a track, ever since this incident happened, and day before night, at midnight, on specific information, we hit this module. And I'm happy to inform the country that in less than 100 hours, we eliminated the JEM leadership in the valley, which was being handled by JEM from Pakistan.
Pakistan, since its inception, is trying to create unrest in Kashmir by injecting its venomous nature of terrorism into innocent Kashmiri youths. As much as India is trying to bring peace into the state by providing development and education, Pakistan is busy infiltrating its terrorists into Jammu and Kashmir in order to execute its devious plans against India. While Islamabad tries its best to provoke Kashmiri youths in order to bring maximum damage to the Kashmiri people, Indian security forces have made sure that in no situation the innocent Kashmiris should be brought to harm.
एक बार फिर आपसे गुजारिश कर रहा हूं कि अभी एनकाउंटर चल रहा है, वहां खतरा लाहक है। आप मेहरबानी करके वापस चले जाइए और एनकाउंटर साइट पे आने से गुरेज करिए। मेहरबानी कीजिए, वापस चले जाइए। घर में आपके वालिदैन आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं। आपकी जानें हमारे लिए बहुत कीमती हैं। आप चले जाइए वापस।
I would also like to tell one thing to the parents of the local youth, especially the mothers, because I understand and I know in a Kashmiri society, mother has a great role to play. Through you, I would request all the mothers of Kashmir to please request their sons who have joined terrorism to surrender and get back to the mainstream.
Pakistan's proxy war against India has led to innumerable loss of lives. The major victims of their continuous terror attacks are the security forces of India. In less than 2 weeks, India lost around 50 security personnel, including 2 army majors. Pakistan, that claims to be fighting against terrorism, is fostering terrorists like Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar in its backyard, and instead of being apologetic for the deadly terror attack, it is warning India of consequences in case of India taking action against the terrorists involved in Pulwama attack.
We are not surprised that the Prime Minister of Pakistan refuses to acknowledge the attack on our security forces in Pulwama as an act of terrorism. Prime Minister of Pakistan has neither chosen to condemn this heinous act nor condoled with the bereaved families. Disclaiming any link between the terrorist attack and Pakistan is an oft-repeated excuse by Pakistan. The Pakistani Prime Minister has ignored claims made by the Jaish-e-Mohammed as well as by the terrorist who perpetrated this heinous crime. It is a well-known fact that Jaish-e-Mohammed and its leader Masood Azhar are based in Pakistan. This should be sufficient proof for Pakistan to take action. The Prime Minister of Pakistan has offered to investigate the matter if India provides proof. This is a lame excuse. In the horrific attack in Mumbai on 26/11, proof was provided to Pakistan. Despite this, the case has not progressed for the last more than 10 years. Likewise, on the terror attack on Pathankot Air Base, there has been no progress. Promises of guaranteed action ring hollow given the track record of Pakistan. The Prime Minister of Pakistan has referred to Naya Pakistan with a new thinking. In this Naya Pakistan, ministers of the current government publicly share platforms with terrorists like Hafiz Saeed, who have been proscribed by the United Nations.
Pakistan's evil connection with Pulwama terror attack is getting exposed by each passing day during the investigation of the attack. The evidences collected during the ongoing probe have already established Pakistan's direct involvement in the heinous crime. The phone calls made to Rawalpindi by the terrorists and the improvised explosives used by the terrorists directly point towards the Pakistan connection in the blast, and thus India demands complete isolation of Pakistan on the international forum.
In a major blow to Pakistan, Jaish-e-Mohammed mastermind and leader Masood Azhar is soon going to be proscribed on the UN Global Terror List. The development has come after the French government and the United Nations Security Council have set the tone for the next UNSC meeting, where France will be backing India's long-time demand of putting Masood Azhar into global terror list. Meanwhile, observing the international mood building up against Masood Azhar, the terror leader has warned Islamabad against buckling under global pressure and taking action against him in the aftermath of the Pulwama terror attack. Newsweek South Asia has a report.
The Pulwama terror attack has not only stunned India but has brought grief and shock to the entire global community. Jaish-e-Mohammed leader and Pulwama terror mastermind Masood Azhar has so far been immunized by Pakistan and China from getting named on the global terror list. But now, following the Pulwama terror attack, the entire international community has come together to condemn Pakistan and Azhar in the same tone. Thereafter, in order to take concrete steps in this direction, the government of France recently declared that the country is working actively towards listing Pakistan-based terrorist leader Masood Azhar on UN terror list.
We are very much pushing into that direction, and it's been 2 years that we are trying to put Masood Azhar on the UN sanction list. So of course we are working a lot on this in New York, and we have to be working on this after the horrible attacks that took place a week ago. We are in full solidarity with India, and we do believe that Masood Azhar should be listed, and we are working on that very actively.
While the Republic of France took the lead in issuing statement in favor of bringing Masood Azhar's name on the global terror list, what has followed now is a combined statement issued by the members of the United Nations who have condemned Pulwama attack and terrorism in all its form and manifestations. The statement by the UNSC declares that the UN Security Council condemns in the strongest terms the heinous and cowardly suicide bombing in Jammu and Kashmir, which resulted in over 40 Indian paramilitary forces dead and dozens wounded on February 14, 2019, for which Jaish-e-Mohammed has claimed responsibility. The statement further mentioned that all states must, in accordance with their obligations under international law and relevant Security Council resolutions, cooperate actively with the Government of India and all other relevant authorities in this regard. Taking swift cognizance of the Pulwama CRPF bombing, New Zealand Parliament also passed a motion in condemnation of the attack while expressing deep condolences to the families of the bereaved.
This House condemned the attack on the Indian Central Reserve Police Force personnel in Pulwama.
Is there any objection to that course of action being followed? There is none. The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Thanks, Speaker. I move that this House condemn the 14 February act of terrorism against Indian Central Reserve Police Force personnel in the Pulwama district, leading to a very large loss of life, offer its condolences to the people and Government of India, and express its support and solidarity for the Government of India at this difficult time, as well as offer our deep sympathy for all those who are grievously affected.
In addition to New Zealand, the British High Commissioner in India also empathetically condemned the Pulwama terror attack.
Both the United Kingdom and India, unfortunately, have suffered from terrorist attacks. So what has happened in India last week in Kashmir is something that we regret, and we send our condolences, and we deplore. We deplore terrorism wherever it takes place.
From last 10 years, India has been continuously trying to place Azhar on UN Security Council's counter-terrorism sanctions list, but China has single-handedly blocked the listing of Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar as a global terrorist at the UNSC Resolution 1267. The initiatives taken by the major powers of the global world against terrorism is a big diplomatic win for India, while on the other hand, it has brought shockwaves to the Imran Khan government.
The attack in Kashmir has made Pakistan a subject of condemnation from across the world. Apart from the international condemnation, the rebel leaders of Pakistan are also criticizing Islamabad for aiding terrorists to carry out attacks in India. The MQM founding leader Altaf Hussain, in his latest address to the people across the world, slammed Pakistan for rearing terrorism on its soil that led to the dastardly attack in Kashmir. We have a report.
The Muttahida Qawmi Movement founding leader Altaf Hussain released a latest video message on Pulwama attack in which he claimed that the Pakistan support to terrorism will throw the regions into flames of war. While expressing his solidarity with the slain corpse and bereaved families, Hussain bashed the terror outfit Jaish-e-Mohammed for carrying out suicide terror attack on a convoy of Indian Central Reserve's police force. In his address to the people, the MQM leader also revealed that the devious designs of terror attacks carried out in India are essentially planned by Pakistan ISI, which is always up to creating menace on Indian soil.
CRPF उसके लोग जा रहे थे, उस पर हमला कराया. जिसने हमला किया उसने अपना जो तालिबान का स्टाइल है, और ये स्टाइल तालिबान का नहीं है, ये ISI ने तालिबान को सिखाया है.
Pakistan is facing grave cash crunch from the past several years. Even in the state of financial crisis, Islamabad is not backing off from indulging into terror funding. Therefore, while passing sharp remarks on Pakistan's use of funds, Altaf Hussain urged the international monetary organizations like World Bank and International Monetary Fund to stop lending money to Pakistan. Since Pakistani military and intelligence agencies keep using the financial aids for creating more terrorist organizations, therefore providing funds to Pakistan is like turning cash into ash. US President Donald Trump also in his first cabinet briefing of 2019 said that giving money to Pakistan is like putting money into water as they use the capital to provide shelter to Al-Qaeda and house the enemies.
International organization like IMF, World Bank, and rich countries of the world, please stop immediately to fund Pakistan. Don't give any penny to Pakistan, because they are doing all things to destroy the humanity of the world. They are not only against Pashtun Baloch, but they are doing their all designs are leading toward the destruction of the entire global village.
The growing insurgency in Kashmir is a result of Pakistan's continuous hooting in the valley state. It has consistently been brainwashing Kashmiri youths to indulge into terror activities. This not only destroys the peace of the valley, but also encourages the youths to embroil themselves into violence. Following the Pulwama attacks, one of the retired Pakistan Army General Amzad Shoaib revealed the vicious strategy of Islamabad, wherein they are planning to execute more suicide attacks in India by brainwashing the Kashmiri youths.
ये प्रोसेस अभी वहां शुरू नहीं हुआ जिसे हम सुसाइड बॉम्बिंग कहते हैं. ये शुरू होना है जब कश्मीरी नौजवान को ये समझ लग गई कि उसने वैसे ही इनके हाथों मारे जाना है, तो कुछ मार के मरने वाला नौजवान जो है वो करके दिखाएगा.
Pakistan on several occasions has claimed that it is a victim of terrorism. But it is quite humorous that a terror victim country refers to terrorists as freedom fighters. Following the Pulwama attack, a Pakistan daily published a report with the headline, "Freedom Fighter Launches Attack, 44 of Occupying Force Killed in IOK." The highly radicalized attitude of Pakistan media towards Pulwama attack indicates that while the whole world is grieving at the loss of several lives, Islamabad is busy in provoking Kashmiri youths to embrace jihad and glorify terrorism.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We will be back next week with more news, views and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@ani.in.com. This is Surbhi Sharma signing off on the behalf of the entire production team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.